Hello everyone and happy holidays. Today we are reading A Pussycat's Christmas. It is written by Margaret Wise Brown, illustrated by Mortimer. It was Christmas. How could you tell? Was the snow falling? No. The little cat, Pussycat, knew that Christmas was coming. The ice tinkled when it broke on the frozen mud puddles. The cold air made her hair stand straight up in the air, and the air smelled just as it did last year. What did it smell like? Could she smell Christmas trees? Of course she could. And tangerines, and Christmas greens, and holly, and could she hear the crackle and slip of white tissue paper and red tissue paper? She certainly could. Tissue paper rustled, nuts cracked, scissors cut. Brr! There wasn't a flake of snow in the sky, but the sky was dark and low, and there was the dark smell of winter air before snow. And then, click! The streetlights clicked on all over town, and as the heavens turned dark beyond the window, one by one, the snowflakes began to fall out of the sky. How did little Pussycat know? Could she hear the snow? Shh, she certainly could. And she ran right out into the snowstorm, for if there was anything that this little cat loved, it was the cold, dry, fresh, white, wild, and feathery, powdery snow. She went pouncing around in it, bouncing around in joy, and she even ate some of it. And she rolled in it, and dug in it, and played with it. And then she stood up all white with snow, very still, for it was very quiet. Very quiet. First, there was no sound, and then there was some. For when everything is quiet, you can hear things far away. From the sky with a sound like steady whispering came the snow, that sound of snow. Then the wind rattled the black branches. It was time for Pussycat to go into the house, for little cats do not like the wind, and they usually don't like the snow, but this little cat did. All the smells of the earth that she knew were frozen and buried. The world was very quiet and very mysterious. Even footsteps were quiet. Pussycat didn't go in right away because through the wind and the falling snow, she heard something. She stood very still and stretched her ears there in the whitened darkness, and soon she heard it coming from far away, away up the snowy road. Ding, 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 jingle, 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 ding. What was it? She heard it going by in the white falling snow. She saw it. She saw the sleigh go jingling by. Then Pussycat meowed at her window pane, and she heard footsteps coming to let her in. They always let her in right away because they didn't like her to get cold, and they liked to have her in the house. She walked right into the living room where she could smell the sharp, tangy smell of the Christmas tree and the candles and nuts and raisins and apples and tangerines. But they shouldn't have let her stay in the living room where they were wrapping up packages and hanging things on the tree. And this is why. Pussycat pounced. She pounced on everything, and she waited to pounce with shining eyes and switching tail. And she waited with shining eyes for something to fall, to tinkle, to crash, and to break. She batted the Christmas tree balls with her paw, tore at the tissue paper, and pulled the bows right off the packages. So they put her out into the hall and closed the glass doors. Pussycat lay down and purred by the fire. She lifted her ears and she listened. There was the sound of crackling. Shh, shh, crackle. What was that? Was it the fire? Always there was the sound of snow hissing against the window pane. There was a tiny tinkle, little pop, as something fell from the Christmas tree and shivered into a million splinters of light. That was so wonderful. The lights gleamed in Pussycat's eyes, and then, bang, bang, bang. What was that? Someone was hanging the Christmas stockings. Everyone came out and stepped over and around the little cat and put on coats and boots and mufflers and hats and laughed and shuffled about. They kissed each other under the mistletoe, then off they went to church. And suddenly and quietly, far off in the night, Pussycat could hear, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. When everyone had gone, it was quiet and dark. The snow had stopped, and there was only the smell of the Christmas tree filling the house. And silence. Then, softly at first, but distinct in the night, she heard people walking from window to window, the dark carolers of the white snow. Through the still air their voices came to her listening ears, over the silence of the frozen snow, in the silence of the moonlight, in the silence of the night, in the silence of the bright stars high in the sky. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. And as the little Pussycat purred and purred by the fire, she heard in the distance the music fading far down the road. Then she pushed open the living room door with her paw, and there in the silent house was the Christmas tree. It sparkled and glistened with lights, gold and silver and blue, the light of rubies and emeralds shining like no tree that any cat had ever seen in the woods. This, to Pussycat, was Christmas Eve.